is up? It's Biff from Fearless Mods, and we're getting ready to go ahead and start working on the bodywork. The place is clean, the car is washed, and now I just need to bring it in here. Let's talk about the paint booth for just a minute. My plan is this. I'm going to use these air filters here, and I'm going to mount them in the opening right there. One, and then two, about to where those hinges are, and then the filter can't go any further. Then I can bring the plastic from over here somewhere across here, and just on this, like, to segment off part of the garage, maybe even angle it over there a little bit so I have room to work on stands and stuff. So once I get that all set up and I have kind of a clear zone, clean zone if you will, and then a paint side, then the plan will be to go ahead and just put the fan down underneath the door, and then just put a little plastic at the bottom there so that the fan that's blowing out is drawing air in from right here through the attic and all the eaves and everything in there. So I'm thinking it'll be a decent way to create a garage paint booth out of what would otherwise have to be some way I would have to find a way to let air come in. I think that's a reasonable way to do it. It's not like there's wind blowing around up in there, so any of the air I draw in should be fairly clean, albeit a little warm. It should be clean, and anything it doesn't catch, like this stuff on my nose, would be caught in the filters before it came from top down out the back. Okay, we got the car in here at a nice angle. I could always move the air compressor. I left it on the skid, and I have it soft wired in with the 220. The only thing I'm concerned about with this is I don't want it running inside the enclosed section of the paint booth. One of the things that I did early on, if you can see it right here, got a little bit of it humps up right here. It's a little bit bent right on that bottom edge, and there's a real sharp crease in it right here. So whenever I take this off, I'm going to want to probably grind that down and then use some fiberglass short strand to patch that up and make it smooth again. I did that when I bought the car on the first day, and I was trying to back it up on a dolly. Dollies don't back up very well, and the dolly came around and got into it. A couple little ripples on each side. We've talked about them before, where you can see a ripple in the body right there. So I'm going to have to try to pull those out. Unfortunately, I do have to pull the back glass again, because even though I might be able to fix this little dent here without, although it would be kind of touchy getting close to the window, the problem is this whole part right here and this gap are all going to be fixed by trying to pull this back up a little bit. It's really kinked in right here and bubbled up. If you remember right here where the deck lid got into this during the accident, and I never really took care of that. So I'm going to have to do some weld some studs on there with a stud welder, and then try to pull it that way while I massage it with a hammer. I'm going to start taking apart the deck lid so that I can fill these holes. We'll go ahead and weld those up, and then same thing along here, the top here. It's going to be hard to see, but there are some low spots in here where the wing was on there, the little fin that they put on it, that just give it a little ripply effect, so I'm going to have to take care of that. I get to revisit the bumper. The stop drill that I did in it has worked, but it obviously cracked again when I put it back on. So I'm going to have to grind that out from behind there and go ahead and take another hack at that. Where my seam was, it's kind of disappointing that with primer and everything that it developed a crack along the center line of that. You can see even on one of the spot welds that I did, starting to show a little bit of rust through. So I'm going to grind down into all of that and replace that with metal as much as I can with the welder. Right here is where the crazy lady decided to run into me, but what she did was revealed that this has been worked on before. I can see some Bondo under there, and it's rusty, so that's not good. I'm going to have to grind that all down, get some rust inhibitor on there, and go from there. A little bit starting to form right here on this cracked paint too. Here's where somebody got me with a door ding. Thank you very much. You can do it now, but if you do it when it's blue, I kill you. I got a little remaining scratch right here, which has a dent with it from the original accident. Be a bunch of little rock chip fixes on the front, because this is from the 2015. I'm planning to go ahead and fill these license plate holes in the bumper. If the trunk isn't bad enough, this is the next worst, or vice versa. But this fender here is not perfect. There's some bumps and ripples along here where it's been pushed in, and then you can see that this overlaps a little bit. That's kind of the summary of everything that needs to be done. I'm going to get a paint pen now, and I'm going to mark those out so I can keep track of them, and then I'm going to go get ahead and get started. Got the wing off. I've marked the areas. Chris did a great episode on B is for Build when he was doing the JDM RX-7, where he did kind of something similar on the deck lid of his, and for the most part he just welded these in. With Subaru metal being as thin as it is, I might try to do something. I might try to put a backer behind all of these anyways if I can get to them. I'm not sure I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes that I need to fill. I was trying to pull out this blue fastener, which is kind of like these here. You push them in and pull them out. I was trying to pull that one out, but it doesn't come out. So rather than pop it into the trunk and then risk destroying the trunk trying to take it back off right now, which I was anticipating having to do, I went ahead and just popped those off. So now I have an extra hole in there that's unnecessary. I'll just fill in that extra one so it's not an extra place for water to get in. And then we will go ahead and fill these 5 as well. First I'll clean them up, and then I'll tap them down in a little bit to get them recessed slightly, and then we'll be ready to weld them. Alright, this is coming along pretty good. So you can see I got the holes, a little bit of porosity in there around some of the edges, but it's all sealed off. I'll be able to hit that with the body filler and fill those in. Still got to get in behind these and do them. They might be a little trickier because they're on it. You know, this is pretty rigid right here because of the 2 bends, so I didn't have to worry about warping too terribly much. But in here, I'm going to have to be a little more concerned about warping. So yet again, a good reason to get a backing piece of material in there so that I don't have to put as much heat into it. Alright guys, as is always the case with these, it takes a lot longer when you get down to it. What looks good here are my areas where I've filled the holes. These 5 all have a negative depression to them, which is great because now a little bit of body fill on that. I'll probably remove all the rest of the stuff on it and start sanding it with a 400. It's not going to take long for it to dry. I'm going to go ahead and start looking at removing this rear window, and so the goal is to get these 2 things done tonight. Too much hardener. Hardening fast. Stuff hardens fast. I hope I got that middle one. Good Lord. I'm getting about a 1 to 2 minute cure time out of it. guys, it is another new day, so let me catch you up on where we are here on the STi. So I've done my first bit of body filler here and trying to eliminate some of the ripples. I did an initial rough sanding with the orbital sander with 320 on it, and that gets after it just a little bit too much. But I still have some low spots here I want to get, and a couple of high spots I still need to sand by hand. That's going to be the first thing we paint, is the insides of all these panels. So hopefully by the end of today, I can at least get the bodywork done so that the next step can be to pull panels and start sanding. So while that coat is drying, I'm going to go ahead and pop the trunk again and start wire brushing some of this, these, so I can get some bare metal. So I'll be able to put my my studs here for the puller, and my section over here where I'm going to have to grind out my previous mating point. Alright, so the trunk bodywork is done. It's looking good. I'm happy with it. I have wire wheeled this down and got it back to the seam, and now I'm going to take some kind of a pick and get in here and get any of the remaining Bondo out of there that I can. And then the plan is going to be to stitch this completely, fill all the voids, and then grind it down and then refinish it. Maybe before that is this, where I've gotten the paint off of there. You see where it's kinked in there, where the old deck lid jammed into it. Okay, wow, that is quite the job. Far from perfect. There are still some voids and stuff like that in there. But you know what? The bottom line is that thing is not going to flex anymore and cause the Bondo to crack in there, or the body filler. So that's what I'm going with. I'm not going to go through all that grinding again, and just to fill those last little bits. I did go ahead and start doing just a little bit of sanding on like the door ding and this other piece here. That's about all I've done. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is degrease this, wax and grease remove, and get a coat of the copper, or actually probably the self-etching primer on there now, and call that good for now until I'm ready to throw the body filler on it. Alright, so the plan for here is there's a lower level that's part of this, and then there's the actual quarter panel that overlaps it here. And they should look like that, nice and straight, kind of an angle, slight angle here coming down, angling in, kind of like this here. So this looks good, and then right about here it starts to go inward. So I'm going to put probably some studs here, here, probably about 4 of them there, and maybe 1 or 2 down here on this lower piece so that I can pull it in as well. Okay, so this is what this looks like now. This is pretty much a good straight line. The stud welder is an arc welder, so it arced through the contact points here because it was putting all the juice into that one contact point. Kind of unavoidable based on the angle that I had to come in there and try to seat those. So I got a little bit of welding and grinding to do, but I got to grind the nubs off of those anyways.
That looks so good. I'm very happy with how that turned out. Yeah, baby. So good.
Alright guys, so it's the end of Labor Day weekend and the car's not painted, but I made some good progress. Starting from 0 miles per hour on having a paint shop and having everything in here and ready to go and the place cleaned up and it's set up was a feat in and of itself. But I've got the compressor set up. It's been I've been using it just fine. And I know I'm cleaned up in here. I know how the paint booth's going to work out, and I've been getting body work done. Went ahead and took care of the extra little scratch there from back when I bought it. The door ding, the quarter panel here where it was coming apart has been welded and patched and repaired. I fixed the rust spot down here on the bottom of the quarter, filled all the holes along the deck where the old fin used to go, and then filled one hole on each side where my spoiler will go. And then the biggest job right here was this whole C-pillar up here. So all the dings that were there from when the deck lid jammed over and then flipped up and dented up here in a couple of places, that is all done and looking very nice. Anyway, there's a little bit of progress. It feels like I've been working my butt off and there should have been more, but it also feels like I got quite a bit done considering. So stay tuned. There will be more, I promise, because I'm on a roll and I'm going to keep working on it this week and trying to get this baby ready to go. So please remember to reach down there and click that like button. Subscribe if you're not already. And thanks for watching Fearless Mods, guys. We'll catch you real soon. Take care.